Everybody, hello, hello. Welcome to 100 Talk. It's the dads again.
Here we are.
Here we are. Oh,
Just
wow.
doing
My
a
thing just
normal
freaked
show,
out.
huh?
Yeah, normal show. Nothing new to report. We are. This thing's crazy. Okay, sorry. My Streamlabs just freaked out. Very excited to have everybody here tonight for what is somehow the last podcast version of the stream that we ever do. Isn't that wild?
Ever do. I'm getting more pixels here. Something's going on with my.
Yeah, Streamlabs is freaking out, but it's all good. We're gonna
It's
be
all
totally
good.
fine. Don't need to worry about
Yep.
it. It wouldn't be 100 Talk if we didn't have some NA production issues. Oh, we got gifted subs from like everybody in the world. We got air horn blast. Here we go. Everybody here. The excitement is brimming because we have the most special of guests tonight. Jordan, could you please take a moment and through all the pixels and reduced quality, give a brief, wonderful introduction to our guest.
Sure, Cole. Tonight, we're very happy and honored to welcome to the show for the last time. Shout out John Robinson.
Shout out John Robinson. Let's bring him on. John, I can't believe this time has come, but I wouldn't spend it with anyone else other than you.
That's correct.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. We're not sad that it's over. We're happy that it happened.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
Nothing but a celebration tonight. So, you guys got me on like a really narrow cam here. You can see that I'm like a Ash and MF main here. But you're not showing my championship jerseys behind me.
I will do it. Watch.
We got to recrop.
We'll do NA production live. Hold on. Hold on. Everybody, you get to see this beautiful place. Look at this. Look at this setup.
Wow.
I love
My home
this
office
production. This is
pales in
amazing.
comparison.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, and the Juvie product placement. Hey, I'm on board. I actually pre-juvenated, John. So I've been into this for about half a can already.
I'll be juvenating throughout the episode.
Yeah. I'll continue to juvenate as well.
Prejuvenate is one of my favorite innovations from the show in the last couple of months. I hope that sticks.
You don't need to give my jerseys that much screen time.
Yeah.
We'll probably cover these moments at some point, but
that's right.
If you want to reduce me,
I just love it because when we had Jungle Juice on, he would do the same thing. He would get in like the bottom corner of the camera, and just vibe there. And so you have all this extra space on the sides. It's like a tradition. You guys must go over that in your corporate sit downs and everything, right?
I just had a meeting today with Jungle. You're not going to believe this. But I had a meeting with Jungle Juice today.
Leaks. What can you tell us from this
whatever
meeting?
Could you be talking about, John?
There's nothing to cover, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm off Twitter, but I think I saw in my local newspaper that Bjergsen has retired. So something to do there.
Shout out Minneapolis Sentinel or whatever, whoever's doing that reporting locally.
Sports page of
the Nord Star. Yep.
Yeah.
I picked it up down by the flour mill at the river.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, before we jump in, now that we've got over 80 guests here, I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you for the last 5 years of you guys covering everything we've done here at 100 Thieves, from our humble beginnings with apparel and LCS to building a pretty incredible fan base. Like, we're just so lucky to have you guys here and so lucky to have you on the journey with us, and so lucky that you made so much of this happen. It's like, I feel like when we were fighting for trophies, we were fighting for those for you guys. And I think the 100 Talk Pod community is like one of the most special corners of the 100 Thieves universe. And so, like, on behalf of me and Matt and everybody at the org, thank you for all your contributions. And we're very excited for you guys. for everything that you're going to do in the future, and totally understand that you now have lives and can't watch LCS 7 days a week and pick apart our VODs and read the tea leaves on who our mid laner is going to be next. Thank you so much on behalf of everybody here at 100 Thieves. And as a small piece of thanks, we have a couple of boxes that we sent to you guys if you want to open them up.
Yeah, this is crazy. So this kind of showed up out of nowhere. It's not a small box. Look at this. I can't even fit it on the camera. It's so big. He's had a couple small boxes. Whatever. And this has been sitting in my house for like a week, and I've had to just not open it. Wow, Jordan's giving his a hug. Shall we have some hug time with the boxes?
I was so nervous. I was like, where did they come from? I need to know the label. They can't open these before the show.
All right, so are we good to open now?
Please.
Okay.
Feel free, guys.
I am nervous. Why am I nervous? I'm nervous though. Okay, one sec. Let me get this cut.
We're not set up for unboxing videos. This is really.
I know, yeah. I actually used to have the second camera. I think the box is too big to be able to do that. One sec.
Very official looking box we got here.
Oh, you are ahead of me. Jeez, one sec.
Spoilers.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. All right. I have the packaging.
You got the same one?
Yeah. They're gonna play favorites. Which dad is the favorite? Gets the better box. One second.
I get a new 100T sticker. Cool.
Okay. Oh man. All right, here we go. Jordan, let me know when you're ready for
really
the
take
moment.
this shot.
I didn't know what kind of equipment to bring, but clearly underprepared here.
We'll hit the lead in.
Okay. Box is open.
And look at that. We just broke 100 viewers. You'll love to see it.
Just at the
All
right
right.
time. Okay, are we ready for this?
I'm ready to open when you are, Cole.
All right. 3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
Oh no, you didn't, dude. No, you didn't.
Whoa.
Oh, no. Yo. Oh my gosh. All right, chat. One second.
no way.
One second. Oh, yes. Let's go. The 5-year anniversary jacket.
So
Congrats, guys.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, John.
Thanks for everything.
This is
Thank you, man.
beautiful. Oh my goodness gracious. So we
Not
have
gonna lie.
Flex on them at the local Starbucks
Oh,
in your
I had my
retirement.
eye on these.
Oh, this old thing? You might have seen this
Oh.
on Someday and Kenny.
looks incredible,
good.
man. Oh my gosh. I
Love it.
honestly I want to put it on, but I'm gonna die in the lights if I do that right now. But
Yeah.
geez, John, seriously, thank you so much. This is incredibly
We
kind.
had
Oh, Jordan's
we had a
putting his
couple
on.
extra made for you guys. I think we only made like 100, but now I think there are 102.
Oh, nice. We got
102
the
Thieves.
we got this 102 thieves.
We
We're-
broke our rules. I hope people aren't like totally pissed off.
101st and 102nd.
We don't do
thief.
reissues, but we made this one exception for you guys.
Thank you.
This is awesome, man.
I'm
Thank you so
speechless
much.
about this. Jeez. Oh,
And
all right.
thanks for the very kind words too. I
Yeah.
think chat, I hope that you guys know that message is for you all as well. So a lot of you been around. If you see the sub timings, a lot of these chatters have been around since day one, approximately. So
Yeah, there's people
big
pushing.
thanks to everybody.
We've got like 53-month subs in the chat right now. That's pretty incredible. And yeah, I echo what Jordan said about that. Yeah,
Oh my
Sandwich,
God.
Sandwich
Sandwich.
just dropped 20 gifted to get to that 300 number, by the way. Sandwich is now at 300 total gifted subs in the channel. John, 100 of those, by the way, came when we beat C9, the streaking C9. And was that 2021, Jordan?
I think
That
so.
that
Yeah.
happened? It was like, all
Oh
right,
my
if we beat
God.
C9,
Yeah.
I'm going to drop 100 because there was no way we were going to do it. Turns out we were. Sandwich, congrats on your milestone. But yeah, I love our little, I like how you said our corner of the fandom, right? Like that's how it's always felt. Like we had this group of people that was just incredible. You know, just real supporters, riding the roller coaster with us all. And it's been really special to get to know them and to get to know you guys as well, John, along the way. So, man,
well, thanks for being a part of it.
yeah.
And it's not over. You guys are still going to be fans, and we're going to see you all the time.
Yes, that's
Totally.
right.
We'll bring the buff to
You'll
LA
just have
occasionally.
5 or 7 hours of your week back every week, like to play video games and see your children.
Yeah, especially the second part of that. That will be really good. I told Jordan, it's like we'll find our way on stream like a couple times a year, man. We won't be totally gone, but yeah,
for sure,
the regular
celebration
coverage.
streams.
Yeah,
I mean
that
that's
kind of thing.
like my streaming cadence at this point as well. It's like maybe once or twice a year. You got to hit them totally unexpected for a big moment.
Yep,
it's what you got. It's the way to go.
Yeah,
your promotion matches, that kind of thing.
I was gonna say he's always running the Valorant stream. You know, he's like, all right, I'm gonna hit Ascendant tonight. We need more of that. Hey, okay, so since we're on 100 Talk, John, do you remember your first time hearing about who we were and what we were doing, and like how did you find out and all that stuff? I'm not sure I ever heard that part of the story from you.
Well, this was like so early on. There was just like a whole lot happening, and my memory gets like a little confused. Like when I think of like January through March of 2018, I guess.
Yeah.
But there was a different name, wasn't there?
Yeah, Den of Thieves. Den of Thieves was the original name, because actually, so when we did our twit longer just to announce that we were leaving, I actually found the original text messages from me and Jordan from when we decided to do this. And it was just like, we just needed to have something to go live. And so we just threw that out there. And we're like, yeah, we'll fix it later. And now the real 100T and 100 Talk OGs know the Den of Thieves name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I just remember like, it was like one of those very early, and you guys will probably laugh, but it was like, I remember like the first hoodie drop and the first jersey drop. But like when I heard that we had a fan podcast, it was actually like a very similar reaction. I was like, oh shit, like this is really real. If people are like willing to like take time out of their week to, produce something like this, like that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And so it definitely felt like a real feather in our cap, that especially when I heard that none of the other teams had fan podcasts. I was like, because we were all about like, we're gonna do it different, and we're not just copying the old guys. To hear that we had like two people that kind of picked us for all these like new and different reasons, as opposed to just like being in the league scene forever, felt really special. And like that was like a real 100 Thieves moment for sure.
Yeah,
a little bit of a proof of concept, right? That you've been able to attract people who didn't know a lot about the league, but were just looking at the list and said, yeah, those guys look pretty cool. Turns out we were right. I mean, not to tip our own cap or anything, but we picked pretty well.
I mean, imagine how short-lived the podcast would have been if you'd chosen like Echo Fox.
That's always what I come back to.
R.I.P. Pull a little out. Hey man, 2018 spring, they were pretty good for those first like 4 weeks.
This Juvie's for you, Echo Fox.
They had a player named Hooney at the time.
Oh, gee. Jordan is eternal Hooney disrespect.
That was like swaggy Hooney. That was the best version of Hooney.
That was a good version.
It really was. So just joining the league in 2018, me as well as you. It was my experience was like, look, I don't get what the big deal is about this guy. And everybody always said, Hooney, it's he's amazing. And I was like, are we sure? And then eventually I think everybody came around to my way of seeing it. Not after we got some pretty lucrative contracts.
When did you come out in 2018 or 2019?
2018. It was June 24th, 2018. Yeah. That's the official anniversary.
And then we had lunch. It was like you guys. It was the three of us in Jackson, right?
Yep.
That was just like, that was awesome.
Yeah, it really was.
The burger place was great.
Yeah, his father's office, I think, is where we were at. How appropriate now that I think about it. The 100 Talk Dads at Father's office. So you see us doing our podcast, and we literally, I mean, we would talk about it on the show all the time. We didn't know what we were talking about yet. We still feel like we don't really. But what were your impressions as of what we were actually like saying, especially because early on we focused a lot on like the I don't know, kind of like the marketing and then like the team decisions, like kind of like what you were doing at the beginning. You and Jackson, I think, were kind of like de facto GMs for a while.
The way that you guys covered 100 Thieves is what made it compelling, right? Like, if you guys had done a deep dive on like LCS tactics and stuff, like I don't know, there are a bunch of other podcasts that already like cover that, and like they're not that entertaining.
We're still not even equipped to do that after 5 years.
I know, but you guys were like similar to like what Bill Simmons did like 20 years ago and what Barstool's done. It's like you covered it as fans, and you talked about not like the games itself, but you talked about the fandom, right? Which is really the most like shared experience of all. And I think that's what made it way more fun, was to hear your guys' take.
Yeah.
Like from the fans' perspective, not from like the media's perspective or like a league fans' perspective, but actually from like,
or even from a
100
team
Thieves fans.
perspective.
Here's how we feel.
Right? Like I feel like the only other thing you can get content-wise is teams telling you what they want you to know, right? And I think even the most well-intended team content is always going to have that lens, understandably, because it's coming from the team. I remember when I was talking to Cole, I was like, it was a Monday, and we just watched the games. I was like, I'm looking, I can't find anything. And then I finally found something. I think it was Wednesday, and it was, they talked about 100 Thieves for like 2.5 minutes. I was like, that's not enough. There needs to be way more of this. And if no one else is going to do it, I guess it has to be us.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the content overall for a while there, it seemed like, but like we would do Sunday nights. So we'd go live Sunday night, put it out there after the games. Yeah, it just seems so strange coming from the spaces we were coming from, that there wasn't more out there, people interested in talking about 100 Thieves, especially as the team continued to do so well. That was our first peek into like not getting our due in the scene, as people, we have this, like we're in second place, we're in first place, and we still get like 5 minutes of a weekly show.
I think the natural 100 Talk Dads like chip on the shoulder is something that we really appreciate. Like that is a shared bond.
Yeah.
That forever we like, even after winning, it's like but we still didn't get our due. We still didn't get.
I still saw a rando on Twitter call us a hoodie org, man. We're not done yet.
Like recently?
No, I'm just joking around with it. But
okay.
So what?
I wouldn't doubt it.
So seeing us though, I mean, obviously we had that kind of like thing about us, but be honest, were we wrong all the time? Were we like really stupid and wrong?
No, because you had like, you couldn't be wrong because it was the take of the fan, right? Like, most of your like, actually like your business takes and your esports move takes were pretty close to accurate, because I think you guys, you're not going to believe this, but like you guys at like, I don't know how old you are, but like you're well into your lives and business careers, probably have like a better sense of what it's like to run a business than maybe some of like the people who like are hanging out on like our League of Legends. And so your takes on like, oh, I get why they're making this business decision, or like, oh, I think I understand why they're picking up like this player, or like, you also did a really good job of like, we have left a lot of crumbs across the internet where we would often hope our fans would pick up on things. And it actually kind of surprises me like how many of those are missed, but you guys picked up on probably more of them than any of our other fans. And that was always like really rewarding when you like put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. This is funny. This is like, it feels like talking to your parents when you're an adult now. It's like, all right, how stupid was I? It's like, oh no, it was great watching you grow up and learn these things.
But
um,
you guys always had like a very measured take, which we really appreciated.
yeah,
Like you weren't as bad as like the Homer announcers of like the, you know, like the like the regional sports network who like call your local team's
yeah,
baseball games or
uh-huh.
something like that. But it was like pretty close. And so that was highly appreciated, you know? Like win or lose, like you were always going to have the org support because, you know, you guys never got like too down on where we were going, even when things
During the dark days,
were
yeah,
looking bleak.
yeah,
Well, I don't know if it's just, you know, the rose-colored glasses looking back, but I mean, this is something that we noticed kind of throughout the course of it seemed like every title, right? Like even when it was at its darkest point, and it was, you know, like we're bringing players up, we don't know what we're gonna do. Clearly, this isn't the move we had planned, but it is what we got. It never took that long for us to make some kind of move that actually significantly improved things. Um, and that I feel like that's something that I would be fascinated to hear your take on that. Like, I know that you all didn't actually know that these things would work, but it just always seems to have, if it didn't get the job done completely, it at
Mhm.
least kept things moving in a positive direction, which as a fan makes it so it's like you look at these other orgs, a lot of them are just they're either treading water or worse, right? And even when we get hit with a setback, it felt like, okay, we have confidence in the organization as fans that they're going to do what needs to happen. So that was always interesting that like the
Mhm.
dark times never lasted that long.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know if it felt that way for us
Probably not. Yeah. And me and Cole have a
or
bit of
for
a
the
longer
fans
term
or for
window,
the
I
fans.
think.
But no, I mean like I think in all of our games we always have like a 18, 24-month plan. Like we're never like just like, oh shit, how are we gonna get through this season? And then
yeah.
let's hope that it's like a good off season, you know? It's like I can tell you who the good CDL free agents are in 2023 and 2024, right? It's like
Right.
Yeah.
we're always like planning around those like windows. Um, but at the same time, also like we have Matt at the helm who like just doesn't stand for mediocre performance, you know? And so like that there is a long-term strategy that is always in place to make sure that things never get too bad, right?
Right.
But then there's also just like uh a natural inclination towards ensuring that like we're never too bad for too long. Like I think we're always going to lean more towards making changes as opposed to like one of the things that was really confusing for me in the LCS for the first like 2 or 3 years. I was like aggressively trying to make trades. This is like before we even really had like GMs. We were like aggressively trying to make trades all the time, as you probably saw with like what we did with like Meteos, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like we aggressively like wanted to make moves because we weren't satisfied and we wanted to get better. And there were a number of teams that were just like, oh, we finished 6th or 7th in spring and we're not going to make any changes for summer. And I'm like, uh, like, you know, like you're not getting a high draft pick next year,
Yeah,
right?
right. That's it.
Like, why are you running this back? Like, what's your story for your fans? You know? And so like, even in
They're
like the
like
most challenging times,
they're like
like
fans?
definitely thinking like 20, you know, 2019 and some parts of 2020, like we were still like, hey, we're
Yeah.
making changes. Like we are moving the ball forward, and like even if it's like a low chance of us finding somebody great, like we're still going to take the shot as opposed to just like losing more.
Yeah. Right.
Well, that was certainly one of the things that I think made us feel like we had chosen the right org. Because it was like, no, hey, we don't want to be in 8th. You know, it's like
Yeah.
we're going to move and get better. And like Jordan said, we always like it always ended up working out. Like it's kind of crazy. Like you look at what happened with like Valorant, or you look at what happened with Call of Duty and stuff. It's like things got really bad, and then somehow, like it seems like every sport within like a year is basically rebuilt into success, and that's kind of insane. Like you're living with it every day, so maybe, you know, like I said, it feels longer to you that those time frames happen, but we were in our last week podcast, we were looking at the timeline and we were like, wow, like they really turned everything around. That was a problem. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, I mean, like, yes, I feel like we've been very fortunate in the sense of like we've now won in all 3 of our major games, which was the goal. But I don't think anybody's like satisfied, and so we're going to continue to push.
Does this mean you're going to get back into Clash Royale?
We are we're going to get back into Clash Royale. We're like tripling down on Clash Royale. We're getting a Brawl Stars roster as well.
Nice. Good. All right, we got some major leagues for the people now. This is good. This is good.
Wait. I mean, on this topic,
so did someone say Marvel Snap? Yes. The Marvel Snap Lunch Squad at 100 Thieves is like that
serious
is an
business
intense crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We just got to know though. On this topic, this is the hardest hitting question we've got for you tonight. Like, what was the thought behind Clash Royale? It felt like it came and went before we had a chance to even get a sense for what was happening there. Was it one of those games where it's like the publisher had made big promises on what the scene would be, and then they just never came through?
This was not on the run of show for John.
It's not. I just feel like I gotta know because I'll always wonder if not. And we like those guys. They're super.
I just want to make something clear. I'm going to take 100% of the responsibility for Clash Royale.
Amazing.
And also give Matt some credit that I was like, so anyway, here's like the idea. I'm a big, like, I was building mobile games before 100 Thieves, and huge respect for Supercell. Like, I think they make great games. 2018 was like that period where people were like, I think we're going to be bigger than the NBA in about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And so it was like every new opportunity, like it had kind of like unbounded upside. Right. And I think what we're seeing with Garena Free Fire, which is now the most popular esport in the world,
crazy,
is kind of what we were maybe expecting to happen with Clash Royale. We were like, this is the biggest mobile game developer in the world making their first competitive game. It's like really easy to understand and really easy to watch. This could be really cool. And when you look at like the people who were playing and the content, it was like very family friendly. It was like Mr. Beast playing esports or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, okay, I could see this like really, really blowing up, but it just like didn't really pan out. So
yeah. So I was just seeing in chat, Jackson showed up and said the boys talking the big stuff, Clash Royale.
We've been waiting
Jackson,
5 years.
Jackson was there at it was like the most like this is like a low point of 100 Thieves was the Clash Royale scouting combine in 2018 when we had to go and like the kids were like 16 or 17 years old.
Yeah.
They couldn't even like they had very limited social skills. We had to go like convince the parents for them to join 100 Thieves. It's brutal. It's brutal.
Anyway, Fortnite.
You did the hard work.
So we've won in all of our esports except Clash Royale. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's why you're retiring.
Cole, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we couldn't stand for another loss with Clash Royale.
Keep it up. Let's go. What other hard hitting questions we got? Like I'm ready to spill all the beans here.
We do have them. We do have them. Okay, go ahead, Jordan.
This is actually, so it's related to what you said. In 2018, people, the real conservative estimate was 1.5 years until we surpassed the NBA. Those are the people you kind of like, ugh, this guy. Can you give us a reassessment? I'm fascinated in this concept because I think there was this idea persisting in the scene for a long time that at some point, esports would eclipse traditional sports. This is the future. How are we thinking about that now? Is there a new paradigm that you see people using and that you're using? And how does that change the way you approach kind of the day-to-day operations?
That's a great question. I think we're all like, when esports was like being really, really like gassed up at its peak, I think internally we never were like fully bought in on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you never want to get that high when everyone's like gassing you up so hard or gassing up the industry, whatever. It's like we certainly like
Yeah.
believed in it. And I would say on the flip side, now that sentiment has changed, the the feeling internally is certainly not like that low either. It's like I think the vast
Yeah.
majority of the people who are at 100 Thieves and the vast majority of our fans were like here before the bubble and are going to be here after the bubble. And so like all that other stuff is like a little bit of like noise
Yeah.
that we just it's like, hey man, we're still here to like win championships and build our community and do things the 100 Thieves way. And let's like not get too distracted by people like saying this is going to be bigger than the NBA or people saying this is like a total bust. Because
Right.
I don't think it's either one, obviously.
So
Yep.
a follow up on this is, like you also like your business model is not insulated 100% from the ebb and flow of the opinion on the space economically, right? Like with sponsorship being such a massive driver of revenue for the business, if sponsors are hearing stuff like, "Oh yeah, no, esports is over, like that was a bubble," and they pull out their cash, that's a pretty big hurdle. Even if you guys internally are all like, yeah, we're stable on this, like we're good, um then there's still potential threats to the revenues there. So how, like, what's like how is that affecting you guys right now? um
Mhm.
I'm sure like there's a limit to what you can talk about with all these things. So we're not going to push you on anything, but if you have any comments on just like the state of things and how the view of esports, feel like a lot of people talking about it now, how that's affecting your guys' business and what your take is on that. Like if you're going to make any changes or you know.
Sure. What I would say is like our long-term commitment and excitement about esports hasn't changed, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, do I think a lot of things are going to change in esports over the next couple of years? Like absolutely, like
Right.
it's been a pretty incredible like 5-year run in terms of like the amount that teams have invested and the amount that players have been paid and the amount of like content and support and all this other stuff going on in the ecosystem.
Mhm.
I think there's probably going to be like a natural reset, but I think what comes out of that is probably going to be like a much healthier ecosystem.
Yeah.
So it's probably like 2 steps back to take 1 step forward a little bit. Um, yeah, how's that for
That's
initial
good. That's good.
initial thought?
Well, is this because one of the things I was thinking about is, one of the times you came on the show previously, you were talking about like the 3 pillars of 100 Thieves, right? You had,
Mhm.
excuse me, you had your content, you had your apparel, you had esports. And those were kind of like the main structures that you were using to like build revenue around. Well, now we've
Mhm.
got some other things happening too, right? Like we've got Project X, we've got Juvie, probably other things you guys haven't even told us about. And
High
so,
ground.
yeah, and High Ground happened since then as well. So, like, has your thinking on those 3 pillars moved in any way? Or are you adding more pillars? Are you replacing pillars? Like, what are you doing?
We actually the way that we talk about it internally, and this is more from like the way that I talk about the business. Like we have an all hands, and this is kind of how we'll talk about the business later this week. Is we
Yeah.
actually view it as kind of like 2 halves, and they're separated a little bit by business model. The first half is what we would call like our esports and entertainment business.
Mhm.
So all of our competitive teams, the content that we make, the creators that we work with, that part of our business is largely through sponsors, right?
Right.
So shout out AT&T, shout out to Lexus, shout out to Heineken, shout out to JBL and a number of others that have been very supportive of everything that we do there. Like
Yeah.
we're very, very lucky to have those partners with us for the long term, supporting like the core of 100 Thieves, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, that part of our business is like almost wholly sponsorships, right?
Mhm.
Um, and then the other half of our business is all of our consumer brands. So all of our consumer brands being apparel, high ground, and now Juvie. So those are kind of like the two that I look at, and like both of them are healthy businesses. Both of them, we have like a lot of work to do to make them even like
Sure.
better and healthier and like continue to help them grow. And Project X we actually look at is something like totally. It's kind of like it's like in its own moonshot category
Moonshot. That's an interesting
because
word.
it's
Yeah.
not yet in the same way that like we talked about esports and entertainment and apparel because those were like the three mature sizable businesses. High Ground and Juvie kind of like earned that right to be part of that squad
Uh-huh.
and have us rethink how we're going to characterize things. And Project X still has like a long way to go. So
I was gonna ask you about Project X because I think first of all, for you, that's got to be like, I don't know, like there may be an extra dose of passion behind that for you, right? Based on your career history, and like we've seen footage of it, which is like I'm surprised at how far along it got so quickly. I think a lot of people when they see the footage, they're like, "Well, what is this game going to be?" Because we can see that you go around and shoot people, and then what we've heard you guys talk about is like you're still exploring the game concepts. So that puts me in a position. I'm like, what are you guys thinking with like timeline on Project X? Like, how are you approaching that? What are your expectations for that project, or are you just being like totally fluid with it and we'll see what we get?
Also a great question. And the real answer is making video games can sometimes be a little bit like making movies where there are some parts that happen very rapidly and some parts that happen very slowly. Even if you're making progress at the same speed the whole time, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we have a script. Oh, we have this. Like, oh, we have funding. Oh, we have a star. And then it's like, and then it just like sits for like 4 years or something,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it can like accelerate again really, really, really quickly. It's not as herky jerky maybe as that, but also game development is definitely not like a linear progression where you start at 0 and then all of a sudden at 50 it's like here's the public beta, and then you're like on your way to launch. What I would say is like it's still very early and we have like a small lean team. Basically, like for lack of a better word, we're kind of just like fucking around having a great time, like thinking about how we're going to make something that's very different and very like 100 Thieves. And that part has been really, really awesome in terms of, hey, what do we love about these games and what do we think we could do better or do differently? And then we'll like noodle on that a little bit. We'll talk to the creators about it. We'll bring in the COD pros. Like we'll get their feedback. And we do that about like once a month. But it's definitely not like a, hey, why haven't we made more progress?
Yeah.
It's like it totally is like we have this sandbox and we're playing around in it. And I honestly have like no idea where that is gonna like manifest itself or what that's gonna turn into. But I think that's like the cool possibility is making small bets that could turn into something really big. I think is really awesome.
Yeah. I think that's probably the only way to approach it, like with a chance of success, quite frankly, because if you clone something else that's out there, it's not going to stand out, and you guys are going to have great marketing channels to use to promote the game or whatever. But we've seen that happen a bunch where it just like is a flash and pan from a game, and it's like, okay, this didn't truly stand out. Everybody forgot about it after 2 weeks. So it's good to hear that you're taking a little bit of a different view of it, because honestly, like quite frankly, like that, I get worried about it because I'm like, oh man, I really want the game to succeed, and if they just make like, a
game development is
clone
also changing really, really rapidly.
Yeah,
like right before our eyes. Like I don't know if you guys saw the announcement coming out of GDC around UEFN or
yes,
the
my
changes
goodness.
to Unreal Engine in Fortnite. It's like
Yep.
I would expect more and more of these. Like 3 years ago, I said we would never make a game because it costs $50 million and like the barrier to entry is super high and you can't do anything. And then like a bunch of things changed around like, oh, look, there's Unreal and there are all these tools and we actually have like these amazing marketing and distribution capabilities. And those things are like rapidly changing. We're like, when those announcements get made, we're like, huh. So we like, like we took a look at all those announcements in the last couple of weeks and are like, evaluating that platform, and like they're just, when you have a bunch of really talented engineers and artists who are looking to like play and do things differently,
Yeah.
all of these things are opportunities, because we're not at the point where we have like a 60-person studio or a 100-person studio that's like, okay, we have we have like $30 million and we have 24 months and we now have to like you know, crunch. Like
Yeah.
we're very much in like the fun exploration part of the journey.
Good. I'm glad it's fun for now. I hope it stays that way.
Well, I have a related question.
Well, it's also by like the nice thing for us is like we've purposefully like kind of set expectations low and not been.
Yeah.
And we're like, I'm like, by even just by like talking about this, like as we're talking about it, it's very different than people being like, yeah, we're going after Call of Duty. Like no, like no, like of course not. We don't have, you know,
Right.
$1 billion. So I
Yeah.
think like we'll see how this whole project evolves, and we're excited to see like what it pans into. It might turn out to be nothing. Like, but you know, I think
Right.
we're optimistic that it'll be something. Certainly optimistic that everyone's going to get a chance to play it and see it and feel it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not going to be like, oh man, they bet the whole company on this one game. Like there's no way we would ever let that happen.
All right. Breathe easy, everyone.
Well-
Breathe easy.
I've got a related question. It's kind of a two-part question. So the first part is, have you, I'm sure you've defined what success looks like for this product internally. How much are you comfortable saying about that externally? Because I think partially it's hard as a fan to understand. I'm bringing the fan perspective here. It's hard as a fan to understand how success is possible, because people only really have one way to think about success in the video game space. And
Mhm.
that's to be the next League of Legends or Rocket League or Counter-Strike or COD. And I think even, you know, there are plenty of examples of games that have the type of budget you're talking about that people would look at and say that's a failure, right?
Mhm.
Even after they might say, yeah, we actually did pretty well, right?
Yeah.
People have short attention spans, and I think a low threshold for kind of what true success is. So I'd be fascinated to hear how you would explain what success looks like to fans of the org, and just more broadly, I guess, to people who are observing and interested but not getting that internal perspective.
I mean, I think we like our mindset at 100 Thieves is, and it's the same for esports, and it's the same for High Ground and Juvie, and it's the same for the video game, which is like one foot in front of the other, you know? Like let's get better today. Like let's get better this year. Let's see what this becomes. And then we'll go from there. I think the idea of like, you know, High Ground's only successful if they're bigger than like Razer and Logitech, I think is
Right.
not the right way to look at this. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if Juvie's not bigger than Red Bull, it's a failure. Like, I think that's probably the wrong mindset. Like, we are, I mean, 100 Thieves is still like a relatively small company where, like, if we were a top 250 game on Steam, that would be like a really meaningful thing for us. I think our ambitions are certainly like higher than that, but I can't yet say what that looks like, which is again why we think a lot about like success-based growth at 100 Thieves. So like you get to hire more people when you show us that you've had success with a few people, right? Like
Yeah.
you get to add more people when you show it, like, you know, like High Ground's done like an amazing job of like step by step, like amazing marketing, incredible like product improvement, great community growth, continued growth in sales. And we're like, great, let's like continue to invest here, as
Mhm.
opposed to like, let's bet the farm, or like, let's get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of our approach. And I think it's going to be the same with the game.
Mhm. Yeah. That makes sense.
So
That makes sense.
that helpful?
Yeah, for sure. I'll part to that question, and it's part question, part perspective, and it's, you know, one of the Cole and I's favorite topics, as you know, is to try to figure out like, why do people feel the way they do about 100 Thieves? It's fascinating to me. It's fascinating, because I think a lot of it is it just comes from places that we can't really identify, right? And over the years, I think it's originated in different ways and places. But I do think there's a common thread, which is people understand an esports organization, because that's what most people view 100 Thieves through that lens, as being there to do a thing, right? And that thing is to make content, win games, and maybe have kind of an obligatory merchandise line, right? So I think from the get-go, your approach of having these three pillars, it was like you said, it was new and it was strange to people, and they didn't get it. They didn't get why you cared so much about apparel, right? Why that was important. Why should I care about it? And I think, now that you've got these two halves of the organization, I think broadly there's a group of people who likely don't understand the half that includes non-traditional business components. And I guess I don't know if this is going to turn into a question or not, but the thing I'm realizing is, you said that you came in with the intent to do things differently, and I think that's continued to be the common thread. And I think people just need time to figure out what to do with that. And so that's like the common refrain of like, well, why are they wasting their time and money on an energy drink that's never going to beat Red Bull, or a video game that's not going to beat Call of Duty, right? Or whatever it is. So I think it's interesting perspective, and it's a part of understanding this team, I think, that that's been so fun. So it's not a
Yeah, I
question.
think
I just thought I'd share that.
as a company, we're really comfortable with ambiguity, and a lot of people like aren't, like,
Yeah.
why are you doing this, and like, what's it going to become? And our answer is like, we're just going to be honest, like, we're not really sure, but we think it's worth a little bit of time and a few people,
Yeah.
and then we'll see what happens,
Right.
And sometimes it ends up like Clash Royale, and sometimes it ends up like, the success that Juvi's had, or the success that High Ground's had in the last year. And we're like, man, that was like I'm really glad we did that,
Right.
So I think we're gonna continue to do those. And like we're like, if some of them don't pan out, like think about all the stupid shit that like big companies have launched that like doesn't work out,
Yeah.
like from the greatest companies in the world, whether it's like Apple or Nike or Facebook or whoever.
Yeah, I was gonna say
like,
Meta for Facebook.
yeah, like just take like people like you got to take shots. Like the last thing we're gonna do is like sit on the court and dribble out the clock. Like we're gonna keep shooting.
Right.
So
you're not a Big Ten team. Okay, appreciate that.
No.
I say that as a pained Big Ten fan.
Like, as you guys, I mean, so that you guys know, like what's going on internally. Like one of your questions, like how much time am I spending on Project X? Like the candid answer is like very, very little of our time. Like Matt and I are spending a ton of time with our core business. Like the most important thing in the world right now, given like where the economy is, given where like esports is, like we're busting our ass for our sponsors right now. Like they're making this happen. Like they're the ones that allow us to field competitive teams. They're the ones that allow us to like afford the people that we have at the company who are supporting like the vast majority of the things like our fans see. So like when that stuff like needs our support and needs our help, like that's where I'm going to be, and in this moment, like Juvie and High Ground are, like in apparel are all like doing fine and doing their thing. And so it's nice that Matt and I don't have to spend like a ton of time there. Project X is like at a very early phase. So like, it's really fun to spend time with those guys, but also like they, like we enjoy doing that, but it's certainly not a necessity. Whereas like, we're definitely like the whole company in a lot of ways, like really, really leaning into that core business right now to make sure that that's doing well.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I got to ask this question, and I'm asking this question knowing that you might not be able to say like a single word about it. Okay. But we're talking about the shifting landscape and you guys running like a more flexible, less predictable, maybe kind of company. Over the past few days, there have been rumors that have surfaced about the LCS team. And some people are like, yeah, we've heard that 100 Thieves is like shopping that spot, and so all of us are kind of like, well, what's going on with this? Are they just giving up because 100 Talk Dads gave up, or what's going on? Is there anything that you can say about that situation, or any perspective on it that you can offer right now for people?
I mean, it would have made sense if we just like dropped the franchise after we won. That would have been the ultimate. If we just
the mic drop, just
yeah, we took our trophy and just left. We're like, thanks for having us, guys. We're out. I actually didn't, to be honest, like I have not seen the rumors that included us.
Yeah.
I've obviously seen everything that's happened with like CLG and TSM, and again, I would say like we try not to get like too caught up in all this stuff. It's like, again, we're not gonna be like too high on the scene or too low on the scene. So we're definitely not actively like shopping around
Mhm.
our our franchise. Um, I would say like, do we want to improve like the business viability of esports? Like, absolutely. Like, I think that's something that all organizations and all franchises are trying to improve right now. Um, but I definitely don't think we're like ready to throw in the towel.
Yeah.
So
Well, I kind of hearing those rumors and everything, my own personal perspective is like maybe it's just a situation where it's wise if you are running a team to always answer the phone, right? It's wise to always hear what's being said and what's being offered and not automatically being closed off to things. So, that's kind of like where I was thinking maybe would be the source of those rumors. Like, yeah, if I'm you guys and there's someone interested, I'm probably going to at least hear out what they have to say. But I think like one of the things for us that we've always appreciated is it doesn't seem like it's like you were talking about earlier. You guys are never too hot or too cold on stuff,
mhm.
right? And so I feel
Well,
like we
I
can
guess
expect a reasonable decision.
what I would say, like Liverpool just got in like a ton of trouble for this. Um, the owner of the Red Sox also owns Liverpool.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I think there were rumors going around that he was trying to like sell the team, but the reality of the situation was he's like a financial investor. There's a price on everything. And so like he
Yeah.
kind of wants to know like, hey, what's the price on Liverpool these days? Which makes sense because those teams are like trading for like billions of dollars right now.
Right.
I would say for us, it's more like league is kind of core to 100 Thieves. And so like even in challenging times, I think our hope and our goal is like to figure out a way to make it work. So it's like at the first, I don't know, at the first sign of trouble, like we're not just like bailing. It's like we want to find a way to work. We're like really leaning in to try to find like ways to improve things. And we'll see how that plays out with Riot and the other orgs and a lot of other stuff over the next, few months. Like I said, it's going to be like a really big couple of years here, but like, we're like prepared for that.
Yeah. I think about what happened with Call of Duty where um after Black Ops 4, we stepped back. We didn't buy in immediately to the league and the franchise spots. And then I think the phrase you used when we asked you about it after it was, LA Thieves was coming back was that you said like we missed it more than we thought we would. You know what I mean? Like it felt like, who 100 Thieves is. And I know for Jordan and I, that's that's the feeling we have about LCS, right? Like we've covered all the esports except Clash Royale. We should have handled that. We've covered all the other esports that are
Breaks my
big,
heart.
and our coverage is kind of like come and gone at times. But we've never dropped the LCS because it just felt like too much of like what this org is. And so yeah, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see what happens. Like,
yeah.
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 I think that's the other
I
thing
mean,
that
all of these things are like similar. Like I would love to keep all of them, but they all have to like earn their spot.
Right.
Right.
And we are optimistic and we want to help them earn their spot. We're not just like, hey, like either make this work or you're done. Like we're all like,
Yeah.
we would really love to see this continue to succeed.
So speaking of that, like on a
Mhm.
little bit lighter of a note, the new VCT structure is rolled out. We've had
Uh-huh.
a couple weeks now under our belts. Really incredible match against Sentinels, by the way. That it just could have gone either way, and then today we got a nice win. How are you feeling like about what VCT has been in this initial run? Like, you feel like Riot's rollout of it has been effective? Are you liking the production? Are you liking the marketing? Do you like the format? Like, what are your general thoughts about VCT as one of the partner teams?
Overall, I think it was thoughtful of them to not franchise in the traditional sense with
Yeah.
franchise fees, right?
Yes.
Like they've obviously like learned something.
Yes.
So, um, yeah, I think it's definitely like an improvement on that front, you know.
Hmm. And do you guys feel like I don't know, like for us, it feels like there's a lot of attention on that right now, especially because it's one of the places where we can potentially compete internationally. You know, like
Hmm.
our team has a shot to win internationally. Like we could win it all with this squad. So,
Yeah.
um, do you guys have anything like in mind in particular for this upcoming year? Um, are there any like I don't know, just how are you feeling about the team itself?
I mean, I think that's one thing that makes Call of Duty and Valorant really special for us is we do have an opportunity to be the world champions in those games, you know? Like nothing against NA League, but like
Right.
the odds are pretty long.
Yeah.
Uh, with Valorant and with COD, it's awesome. Like, you know, we are fighting for literally like the number one team to be the number one team in the world. And that is really, I think, a really amazing thing to do. So yeah, I'm like a lot of confidence in our team, coaching staff. Like we'll see how this plays out. But I mean, similar to how we played last year at the last chance qualifier, similar to how we played at the Red Bull Proving Grounds, similar to League of Legends and Call of Duty, it's like all that really matters is how hot we are come champs. So
Yeah.
that's also why I don't know, one of the things that I appreciate about you guys, it's like when you're in the doldrums of like week 6 of like, you know, a spring season, like you, it's not the time to be like
Yeah.
overreacting, you know?
Yeah.
Like even this year with LCS, like perfect example,
Yeah.
right? Like, hey guys, like we're not where we want to be, but we're also not like scrapping the vision for the year.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to make like one change.
Right. And
It
hey,
turned out that was probably right. So
yeah. And hey, anyway, Golden Guardians ended up being pretty good. So
Yep.
what were they? 9-9, right?
yeah,
Like
the
the
EG
number of
record.
teams that have had epic playoff runs,
Yeah.
finishing middle of the pack. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Who he's still good,
He's still good.
turns out.
Let's do
Yep.
let's do two quick questions to wrap up, John, and we'll let you go. First off, I wanted to ask just like on a personal note, because you know, you're a father. How has and we're the Hunter Talk dads, you know, we've got our own kids, and a lot of the reason why, you know, as we mentioned, we're stepping away is to kind of not miss those moments and be able to be present and do our best with them. Like how has being a father changed, you know, your life personally and then your life professionally?
Woo. That is a great one. That's a very heavy one. I mean, it's you know what it's like. I don't want to like wax on like too much. Like I don't know how young the Hunter Talk audience is and how much they appreciate the
They
joys
skew
and the
older.
challenges of parenthood. But yeah, it certainly gives you like a very different perspective, and your priorities change pretty significantly after you've had kids. And like my daughter trying to cheer and saying like "Hunted beef, hunted beef," like in the I would when we'd like drive around town, like we're always playing esports, right? So I would like plug my phone in and I'd be listening to like the Twitch broadcast. And as soon as she would hear the sounds of CDL of guys like beaming each other, she would just start going like "Hunted beef," and I was like, it's just like this is awesome. This is
Yeah.
so
Oh, I
cool.
love that. That's so
Um,
good.
but
John, you'll be glad to know my daughter, every time she draws like a family picture of us, she always puts 100T on my shirt. And that's like that's the identifying feature.
That's
I
how
know
you
you
know
had
it's
this, she
dad. Yeah.
pointed this and she would just say like "Dada."
That's great.
Anyway, kids are amazing, and I'm glad you guys will have more time. And yes, your priorities change significantly. Unfortunately, it usually means less time for video games.
Yes.
But that
Yeah,
is, you know, that's life, man.
Yeah, it
that's
is.
life. I
But
was
it's
gonna say your
it's a
story.
good life.
Yeah, Twitch in the car is something I can relate to on a deep level. I'm just like I can't miss this match, but we gotta go.
We got to go, right? Um, all right. So last question then, John. So we just wanted to ask what has been your proudest moment, you know, as You know, kind of like being at the helm of 100T with what you've achieved through the past 5 years. And of course, I know that the number one answer would likely be your quadra kill in Rec League, which has been memorialized forever in our intro. Yeah, it's in the exactly. Yeah. Shout out Kale Maldoran, by the way, the guy who made that intro for us. So other than the MF quadra kill, what are you most proud of looking back at your time?
I will say, number one, I think the obvious answer is definitely the 2021 LCS Championship, because it was so hard and the road was so long and so challenging. So that one was certainly like the most rewarding, you know, like where we had the longest odds and the most haters and all of that. That one was certainly like satisfying.
That's why you still gotta drop the hoodie org hoodie, man.
I think Matt's got that one, but that's like a 1 of 1.
Okay. Limited edition.
Very enough.
limited.
Like a 1 of 1.
That's actually my desktop picture is him holding the trophy with the hoodie org. So,
and then I think the other one is just like seeing, you know, we've hired lots of great people at 100 Thieves, and so to like see them, the people that have been with us for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years or some now even more than that, like grow in their careers and have the success that they were hoping for. Some of them are now moving on to, you know, like even other, you know, great adventures. Like that makes me super, super happy that like we're not just like, I love being something amazing for our community, and that's always going to be our biggest priority. But the other thing that a lot of us are focused on is obviously being like the best organization that we can be for our employees. And so to see them have success and be happy and find meaningful work and then go on and do other great things, that is also like that's like a very fulfilling part of the job.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, look, we'll wrap this thing up, but you know, I wanted to say that we're so grateful for you welcoming us into what you do. I mean, it would have been very easy for you guys to just kind of ignore us because we've always been this kind of like small potatoes thing on the side. And you did, you know, and I thought that distinguished you as an org. Like most other orgs would just not take notice and not care. But we felt so embraced by you, and we appreciate that. It's been like the craziest ride. Like every time I think about it, I just think of like how fun it's been to climb the mountain and then fall again and climb the mountain again. And I think we always have like a soft place in our heart for like, you know, the OGs that are over there. And so I feel like as much of a fan as John Robinson as I am of 100 Thieves, you know, and so we'll always be rooting for you. We're not, like I said, we're not disappearing. We're still watching. We're still here. I'll still be on the Twitter account
like,
every once in a while.
We need to get a message out to the community, but can't make an official statement. Who do we release that to now?
Yeah, right. What are you gonna do
when we need our back door? That was actually one of the questions I was hoping you guys were gonna ask.
Oh, about the back door?
No, not about the back door, but like you were like, what's one of like it was like the best parts or the hardest parts, and it was like there's so many times that people are like, why haven't they made an official statement yet?
Oh yeah.
And it's like, because we can't, you know?
Right.
And you guys were like the only ones that were like, they haven't said anything because they can't. But here's what we think. And you guys were like way better than like, you know, I think a lot of other people would just be like, I can't believe they haven't said anything yet. And it's like, like our hands are tied. Like we literally can't.
Yeah. Put yourselves in their position, guys.
Piece together those puzzles.
Yeah.
And I think that's an area where like esports can probably get like a little bit better, because I think in pro sports now, you usually end up hearing 100% of every story.
Yeah.
You hear it from like a player's perspective and the org's perspective and the fans' perspective and a bunch of like, I think we're still kind of like getting there. And yeah, but you guys usually piece together more of the story than anybody else. And that was always pretty fun to watch.
Well, I'll have to make appearances on Twitter whenever that's necessary then.
That wouldn't be suspicious at all.
Yeah.
You know, 10 tweets a year with the semi-official story.
Look, guys, here's what I think. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, let's let you go. We'll say one last time officially, man. Shout out Oak Boys. Shout out John Robinson.
Well, shout out to 100 Talk Pod, FKA Den of Thieves, for being the number one most watched, most subscribed, most gifted subbed podcast in the history of 100 Thieves. And I kind of hope it stays that way. So
yeah, we'll have to see.
No one will be able to replace you guys.
Well, it'll be interesting if something else comes along, though. You know, I've seen a couple things cooking from people on Twitter, and I know I'll be tweeting them for people to take a look. So, John, again, thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for the incredible jackets. That's insane. Thank you for all the memories. Jordan, let's say again, as we always do, and for the last time to our podcast listeners, to our audio podcast listeners. By the way, we have a ton of audio only podcast listeners, by the way.
Yeah, sorry guys.
It's crazy how many of them we have. So to you guys, we'll say to you for the last time, we love you and we miss you already.
Take care.